no sense. You're just plain stupid.
Kayla, why are you saying those mean things?
But Miss Gibbs told me that the other day.
Oh, honey, you don't listen to people who tell you those bad things. You are smart and beautiful, and you can do anything you put your mind to, okay?
Yes, Dad.
Verbal abuse can destroy a child's sense of worth. Speak positively today.
Welcome to SAT TV News. I am Shanna Esprey, your presenter for today. In our top stories, DSC holds health fair, Britain targets banks in Cayman and the British Virgin Islands, FBI probes Boston terror blast, and in sports, Desiderata Tremors secure third victory. Details of these and other stories will follow.
No child from 2012 onwards should be born with HIV. Even if you infected with HIV, you're still a human being. You're still living, they're still breathing, so we gotta love and respect them. Darren Sammy here endorsing the Live Up campaign. 2012, from now on, no Caribbean child born with HIV. We're moving forward, we're educating our people, and it's all about love, protect, respect.
Live up, shout, live up, live up.
Cuban Ambassador Ms. Juana Elena Ramos Rodriguez says, although the blockade imposed on the U.S. government in Cuba has not changed for over 50 years, it has intensified. Ms. Rodriguez noted that the Obama administration has been characterized. She added that this extraterritorial nature of blockade is expressed in different ways, including the prohibition of U.S. companies based in the other countries which conduct transactions and contracts with Cuban companies.
Ships carrying goods to or from Cuba are prohibited from entering U.S. ports, and the persecution against Cuban banking and financing sector. High fines have been imposed on banks and financial entities of several countries for the violation of U.S. unilateral sanctions against Cuba.
Previously, the Cuban ambassador stated that the Cuban embassy has always commended the Dominican government for the support it has offered to the Cuban resolution. She says today the support received from the Dominican government remains the same. She, along with the Cuban embassy, extends their heartfelt gratitude to the government of Dominica.
We want to reiterate that the Cuban government and people highly appreciate the invaluable support of the Dominican government and people in their fight against the unjust and discriminatory policy. We are sure that this year Cuba will once again count with the support of Dominica at the UN General Assembly. It's important to say that Cuban people have suffered for more than 50 years the consequences of blockade. Areas like healthcare have been particularly affected. The economic damage to the Cuban people by the application of the blockade reaches $1.060 billion.
When asked for a general opinion in relation to the blockade, this is what Ms. Rodriguez had to say.
I want to reiterate that the blockades imposed by the U.S. government against Cuba violates international law and is contrary to the purposes and principles of the UN Charter. Cuba once again denounced this policy against our people, which is an outrage to the universal demand for the United States to end its blockade against Cuba.
In relation to the new laws, measures, and regulations which were implemented in Cuba last year, Ms. Rodriguez appraised that it has been extremely beneficial for the Cuban residents as well as the country. However, the new laws and regulations which were implemented do not have any relation to the blockade imposed by the U.S. government. In more news, the Dominica Association of Insurance and the Financial Advisors Hard Work has come to fruition when it was established that Dominica will host the 27th Annual Insurance Congress in Dominica. The theme of this year's Congress is Life's Blessings, with a vision to be the regional unifying organization that continuously and effectively anticipates and satisfies the needs of its members and the customers. Mrs. Cheryl Roll, Congress Director, said there are a lot of activities to be derived from the Congress.
Well, there will be speakers coming in from Jamaica, the U.S., Trinidad, and St. Lucia. So they will be educated on some of the new financial issues and what's happening in the world. They'll be motivated, they'll be encouraged. Remember, most people don't recognize the value of insurance until they are recipients. And so sometimes you need the camaraderie and interaction with each other to strengthen you, to teach you, and to learn from.
Mrs. Rose stated that the participants will be educated on some of the new financial issues as well as what is happening in the world of insurance.
Most people don't recognize the value of insurance until they are recipients. And so sometimes you need the camaraderie and interaction with each other to strengthen you, to teach you, and to learn from. The motivation, we will have mentors who will be top producers that will be mentoring one another, and we have the rejuvenation, which would be way better than Dominica to rejuvenate.
Apart from an educational trip, the visitors are expected to have a fun-filled and exciting time in Dominica. She stated Dominica will benefit financially from the 150 visitors. Mrs. Roll expounds on these events.
You have stay-over visitors. They are booked in 5 hotels. We have activities in Portsmouth, the Cabrit, the tour guides up there, Fanatic Band, the Piggish Cultural Group. And then in Rosa we have the inducted to the Hall of Fame, which is Mr. Frank Odo from Barbados. He's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. We have the Piggish Savannah Cultural Group. There's dinner at Fortune, and then Monday, the opening ceremony, we have Phil Etienne and Steve Hyacinth managing the stage. We shall have a waterfall on the stage at the Iowa Cup. So the theme is Life's Blessings, showing the value of life insurance, the value of life in Dominica, and the value of life with our brothers and sisters from the CARICOM countries.
CARIFA is committed to viability, continuous growth and development, as well as improving the public's image of their members through high ethical standards. In other stories, at the opening ceremony of the first regional building course held on April 15th, builders and contractors were advised to take advantage of the expertise that will be offered at the first regional building course. This is to ensure that safer buildings are constructed throughout the Caribbean region. 25 participants from around the region, namely Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Dominica, will participate in this week's training at the DSC Bath Estate campus. The course was designed to train builders and contractors to apply new techniques including roofs, walls, and floors foundation, which will result in safer buildings. Dr. Donald Peters, president of the DSC, urged the participants to take the initiative and contribute to the development of Dominica. Dr. Peters said that we are no longer in the 50s where houses could be easily built on 4 blocks.
But now, in a very safe, dry area, next thing it becomes a flooding area because rain is falling at different times. So as a college and as a country, we need to adjust our construction methodology, we need to adjust our construction savvy in order to build safer houses for the event of disasters. The economic aspect of it is for insurance companies, for banks, everyone is affected if we as contractors do not do our job effectively.
He encouraged the contractors to have an open dialogue with the DSC to bring forward any areas in education that they wish to pursue in the future. Mr. Steve Joseph represented Acting National Disaster Management Coordinator, Mr. Don Corriette, urged the participants to take full advantage of this course to improve their skills.
This is evidence that this strategy is on point. This is a strategy that is manifesting itself here today in action. And comprehensive disaster management encourages us to focus on all peoples, on all hazards, at all phases of the disaster management cycle, which means preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery. The challenge is that continually we spend too much money and resources on recovery.
Mr. Joseph said we are 2 months away from the hurricane season. Therefore, these were the measures he encouraged us to take.
And let us embrace this opportunity of learning and sharpening our skills to ensure that we continue to build brick by brick a stronger community, a stronger society to withstand stronger and stronger hurricanes. To ensure that we build stronger and safer, this is the kind of initiatives that we hope that many other agencies will partner with us at the Office of Disaster Management.
Mr. Peter Seja, Acting Prime Minister and Education Minister, stated that Dominica selected to host this program is not by accident.
In fact, despite the varying views on development, I believe that a fundamental component of a nation's development is that of infrastructural development. And so I would beg to differ with the Calypsonian who says we cannot eat concrete. Because you very well know that what you do in the construction industry, and of course housing is a very significant component of the infrastructure of a country.
The Acting Prime Minister encouraged the foreign participants to learn new ideas and new ways of doing things, as well as exploring Dominica. The lead facilitators for the course are Dominicans Mr. Severin McKenzie and Mr. Aki Boland, who are very experienced in the construction industry. In other news, on Tuesday, April 16th, the Dominica State College hosted a health fair under the theme My Business, Your Business, Everybody's Business. The students formed groups where they had to gather information and preventions for the various topics: cervical cancer, breast cancer, obesity, diabetes, stomach cancer, and hypertension.
And my group members are Stephina Martin, Charissa Vigilant, Tamisha Frank, Kadian Mayers, and Donnell Blanc. Today we will be presenting on the topic obesity. As we all know, Dominica is facing major difficulties. As with obesity, we need to be more conscious of our diet. Therefore, we invite everyone to the Student Services Center immediately after this ceremony to learn all you need to know on obesity. Thank you.
Ms. Patrice Antoine, leader of the hypertension group, better known as high blood pressure, says this health factor is extremely common in Dominica.
It is the most frequently occurring chronic disease. High blood pressure occurs when the forced pressure of the blood on the blood vessels is higher than it should be. Risk factors that can contribute to hypertension are if you eat too much salt in your diet and if you drink too much alcohol. Treatment of high blood pressure includes exercising regularly and limiting the amount of sodium salt you eat. Aim for less than 1,500 milligrams per day. More information can be found in the brochures available. Thank you.
Ms. Shanice Robin, leader of the breast cancer group, presented various symptoms of breast cancer and how to detect early indications.
In our booth, you will learn the symptoms, the risk factors, how breast cancer can be detected, the treatment and a recommended breast screening. Never forget, cancer is not a death sentence, but rather it is a life sentence that pushes one to fight for their lives. I thank you.
President of the Dominica State College, Mr. Donald Peters, stated that most universities worldwide participate in health programs, and he commended the DSC for hosting this activity.
I know space has limited us here at the college, but I'm very impressed that some faculty introduce it across the curriculum. I teach sociology and I talk about health and wellness. Wellness because a nation needs healthy people. As a community can only be strong as we are healthy. And health we take for granted because generally we're healthy people. But as minorities, as black people, we are a number of diseases that we have to be careful about, and my students have elaborated on that, so I'll not tell you too much about it. I just want to say that each of us also have our responsibility for health. I see Dr. Blanc here. She doesn't want to have to do so much work. She's a hard-working lady, but if you take care of yourself, you'll save a lot of money before you get to her.
Mr. Peters added that it is not difficult for an individual to accumulate their own information on the health factors mentioned.
I remember as a young man, I was kind of radical. I read Ho Chi Minh, and Ho Chi Minh had a theory that if you don't train your body to eat a lot of food, you only need 4 ounces of protein a day, etc., then if war breaks out, you can survive. And I wasn't too smart. I decided to follow Ho Chi Minh's program. So I stopped eating breakfast. I did 1 banana. My mother would chase me and try to make me eat. But by the time I got to the US, my body had adjusted to minimum food, so I could live on 1 meal a day, even today. So I'm not asking people to do that, but there's just one way to do it. I've been hypertension for like, borderline hypertension for like 14 years, borderline diabetes, because I take care of myself.
The students left us with an important message. What am I today is what I ate before. What I will look like tomorrow is what I eat now. My appearance reflects my habit, and my mind conceives constructive thoughts. In more stories, teachers are being urged to keep trying, keep looking, and be creative whilst brainstorming new ways in which they can better disseminate information to their students. This was the advice of Miss Laurie Seeley, an educator from Barbados who is the facilitator of a 3-day workshop which will focus on the improvement of mathematics skills.
Many teachers throughout the Caribbean have the same issues to do with developing reasoning and problem solving and helping students to think, how to make the maths come alive and be applicable. So yesterday we had a workshop with the teachers of the younger students, and today we have a workshop with the teachers of the older students. We're going to try to get from them what is going well, and then at the same time offer some practical ideas how to promote numeracy, how to develop numeracy, how to help students become better mathematicians and better thinkers.
Ms. Seeley pointed out that throughout the workshop, the teachers shed light on the issue regarding the lack of materials. She said anything can be used to bring their point across, in addition to practical materials. Another issue was the fact that some students learn a lot slower than others, making it difficult for the teachers, as these students do not have the foundational skills a teacher can use to build on or develop. In such cases, she noted that teachers would have to take steps backwards to build up these slow students' foundation, then move forward.
So we talked a bit about that and how to reach all students, even though they're at different levels, what kinds of activities we can do in the classroom that would reach all of them in their interests and at their ability levels.
She mentioned the teachers' attitude throughout the workshop thus far has been very positive, and some stated they wish it was for a longer duration with more practical examples. Ms. Seeley stated change takes time and involves many steps. However, it is her hope that there are 1 or 2 steps for each individual teacher, so there are things that resonate with them that can be used in their classrooms. Doing this will be beneficial to their students, as learning is up to them with the aid of their teachers. Ms. Leandra Laidlow, Learning Support Advisor for Mathematics in the Ministry of Education, stated, this workshop was also important as there are new additions to textbooks for teachers.
So the objective of the workshop is twofold. One, to inform our teachers, to give better practices for them, and to open up a new resource that is available for teachers in Dominica.
Ms. Laidlow says teachers from the lower and upper primary schools are the participants of this workshop, in addition to the managers of the maths curriculum in the secondary schools. She noted thus far a lot of information has been disseminated, where the teachers learned new techniques and teaching while being refreshed on existing methods.
In terms of the resource gathering, in terms of the information, in terms of the collegiality between primary, the meshing between primary and secondary teachers, well, HODs that we have now. So we will bring the whole mathematics curriculum, the whole teaching and learning process in a global form.
What do you hope the teachers will leave
Well, when they leave this workshop, they would have gathered more information, more evidence, research-based evidence on teaching and learning, and they would have garnered other information from other teachers. So no, basically that we all have the same problem in the classroom.
The goal at the primary school level is to ensure that all students are both literate and numerate, and to ensure a seamless transition to secondary school. The Convent High School was on the receiving end on Tuesday, April 16th, as they received a donation of 100 chairs for the school. This was made possible as a result of the hard work of the members of the Dominica Convent High School alumni of Ontario, Canada, who saw the need for the chairs and used their resources to make this donation possible. Miss Lorraine Dorival, a member of the alumni, stated one of their commitments is to equip the CHS with a total of 400 chairs to be delivered 100 at a time. 100 chairs were donated in 2012 and now total 200.
And as we speak, we are in the process of fundraising for the third 100. With us today are a few people who were instrumental in encouraging us to start the alumni in Ontario. One such person is Mrs. Dorothy Levy, who had been for years asking us to start the alumni in Ontario, and we are happy to say that we are moving in our 4th year. Throughout the years, we have been working on projects directed towards supporting the social, intellectual, and spiritual needs of present and future alumni of the CHS. And I must say, so far, we are benefiting greatly from these activities.
Ms. Dorival stated a crucial objective of the alumni is to remain a sustainable organization of which the CHS can rely. To do so, she said members have to be readily available to extend themselves not only to increase their membership, but to aid in their fundraising efforts.
Martin Stevens and Sons has partnered with us in this project and has provided a substantial contribution which made the procurement much easier. For that, we thank you, Mr. Stevens. We would also like to thank Mrs. Jennifer White for her constant liaison between the school and the alumni in Canada. We thank our supporters who have joined us today. They help us in so many ways, and I know they will continue to do so.
Local businessman Mr. Malcolm Stevens, who contributed 1,000 Canadian dollars towards the freight of the chairs imported from Canada, stated he was happy to be a part of this donation. He appealed to the school to reach out to him anytime they need financial assistance for projects such as their carnival band or graduation ceremony.
Further, would like to contribute in cash $1,000, which will go towards their next graduation ceremony. I have one of my staff here. This Raphael to make a presentation.
Okay, good morning. In addition to our donation towards the young chairs, we are pleased to make a presentation of $1,000 towards the school's graduation ceremony.
Mr. Stevens says he hopes the donation will go a long way. The two missing fishermen now have a second chance at life as they were found alive on Monday, April 15th. Tyrone Etienne of Marigot and Lindell Dawe of Vickers went on a fishing expedition on April 11, 2013 on a boat named Inner While, powered by twin 200 horsepower engines. When they did not return, a missing persons report was made to the police. However, the Coast Guard's search for the men proved futile. According to Mr. Lindell, while fishing, they developed engine problem and went adrift on April 13, 2013. They managed to repair one of the two engines and made it safely to shore at Portsmouth about 7 p.m. on April 15, 2013. The police are investigating. Meanwhile, the search continues for two other fishermen, Justin Carrere of Anse de May and Leron Etienne of Vacaz, who reportedly went missing on sea at April 13, 2013. Minister of Education, Mr. Peter Seja, has congratulated Venezuelan President Mr. Nicolas Maduro on his recent victory. Mr. Peter said the announcement by the Electoral Commission that you had won the presidential elections held in the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela on April 14, 2013 filled us with brotherly joy and pride, both as the government and the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Mr. Seja believes that the election victory is a fitting tribute to President Hugo Chavez, whose towering vision of social justice combined Venezuelan independence while it advanced Latin American and the Caribbean unity, which set a very strong foundation for your presidency. On behalf of the government and the people of Dominica, and on behalf of the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, who is out of state, Mr. Seja congratulated Mr. Maduro, the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, the Venezuelan government and the people for their continued commitment to the most cherished principles and the practice of democracy. He noted the government of Dominica looks forward to deepening and widening bilateral relations between the two countries as well as advancing our integration process. He added, especially within Petrocarib and ALBA, with the central goal of growing the prosperity of our countries and building equity among countries based on international solidarity. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
Yo, this is Ace Banton in SAT building, baby. You're watching SAT Telecom. That's the #1 choice. Boom!